The Parenting Matters ministry is all about helping to equip parents to train the next generation of courageous, Christ-like, what we call character-healthy leaders or young adults. The genesis for the Parenting Matters ministry began a little over 10 years ago as my wife and I, began to see an issue in our culture. Over the last 35 years, the fundamental question of our culture has changed from why to why not. We came across a young couple, this was maybe 10 or 11 years ago, that had they were newly married, they had a 9-month-old baby. They decided to go out to dinner and shopping, and they left the 9-month-old at home in the crib alone, no babysitter. Well, the neighbors heard the baby crying, and they called, nobody answered. They called the police, who called the fire department. They broke down the door, and about 3 hours later, when this couple now comes home and is confronted with their irresponsibility, by the way, the baby was fine. When they came home and they were confronted with their irresponsibility, their response was, hey, what's the big deal? Everybody else does it. Well, right behind that why not question of life is always the answer, yeah, but everybody else is doing it. Now, whether that's true or not really is irrelevant. Their perception was that everybody else was leaving their child at home. What they were suffering from is what I call the new virtue. The new virtue these days is not whether you should or shouldn't do something, but it's whether you can or can't. Can you get away with it? Is there a video camera? Will I get caught? What are the legalities? Can you leave a 9-month-old at home unattended? Yes, you can. Should you? Absolutely not. And so they were missing the moral imperative. They were missing the moral importance of being responsible. And so that's where Megan and I got together, and we created the 9 practices of the proactive parent. And an ideal way to introduce the 9 practices of the proactive parent is through the Parenting Matters conference in your church. We will hit the highlights of the 9 practices. The first practice is the practice of modeling. More is caught than taught. And parents really need to grab a hold of and understand that what they do, their actions, speak much louder than their words. We want the two things to line up, the words and the actions. But many times we say one thing and we do another. The next practice is the practice of elevating virtues above feelings. We are in one of the most feelings-driven cultures perhaps the world has ever known. This saying has been around for as long as I can remember. If it feels good, do it. Don't think about it, don't deliberate over it, don't even count to 10. In fact, the more impulsive, the more impetuous you are, the more this current culture rewards you. We'll give you a television show and glorify your irresponsibility. And so we see those things going on all around us. Another practice is the practice of training. And we walk parents through what responsibility looks like, or at least conveying responsibility to their children. If you have a child that doesn't take the initiative, they are irresponsible, how do you teach into that with them in a practical way? When we come to town and do a Parenting Matters conference, the response is just terrific. Besides it being just an absolute blast and a wonderful time with parents, we kind of end up hitting the reset button on the culture in the local church so that it creates a subculture around core values, character qualities, and virtues. And again, like I said, we get dozens and dozens of emails after these conferences from parents that are just thanking us for sharing our insights and our years of wisdom with them. My wife and I have 8 children, 4 boys and 4 girls. 7 are birth children. 1 is adopted. So we've got a wide variety of diverse background. I was in the Navy for years and deployed and was gone overseas, and so we've had separations. We've traveled around a lot. We've had a lot of moves over the years. I pastored a church in Maine for 10 years, and we taught these principles in my own church. Recently, I just finished my doctoral studies in parenting. And so we feel like we've got some resources to offer young parents today. But the bottom line is this: if you want to host a Parenting Matters conference, it's easy to do. It's very cost effective for a church. It's not going to impact your bottom line in a hard way. In fact, we try to make it kind of what we call cost neutral for a church. But we're all about helping parents, equipping parents, if you will, to raise and train the next generation of courageous, Christ-like, character-healthy kids. And if you'd like to bring that to your church, we'd love to be part of that process with you. I'm Dr. Steve Scheibner.